We head into Champion Select for game number 1 between LGD and Newbee. LGD will be starting on the blue side for the first match, and it seems like both teams will be swapping positions in between every single game, as Newbee will be on the red side for game number 1. Immediately, Vladimir is the first ban that comes out from LGD. Poppy and Ash will be the next 2 bans for them, as Kog'Maw and Rumble are taken away by Newbee. Vladimir being banned out, a champion we didn't see during pick or ban at all during that previous set.
Yeah, I mean, both teams in the last set had a set different style that really did ignore much of the meta. So one team that does the same is LGD with the Rumble, Kog'Maw, even Twitch really. LGD plays to what their style is.
Well, they definitely have some superstar players to do just that. I mean, you've got Marin up at the top lane, MVP Worlds last year. You even have Wayless returning into the mid lane for LGD, looking really strong, especially with Imp and PYL looking incredible for their team. Hankrim was the final ban that came out from Newbee, and instantly LGD lock in Sivir as their AD carry of choice.
Yeah, Sivir is a monster of an AD carry, and definitely in Imp's hands. So you get Sivir, that means you better wait. You better take it hard early, because as Sivir starts to scale up, starts to get that crit, a lot of crit in her kit, she's going to be a real strong threat to go up against.
Still lots of champions that are being contested between these two teams. You can see the hover of the Braum and the Gnar. Braum, a support pick that has been coming back into popularity since Cross Conference has finished here. EDG really popularized that support pick, and it's been a very strong pick despite a couple of nerfs hitting him doing 6.15, and Gnar is going to be locked in, a big denial pick away from Marin, who has played so many games in this champion of this split.
Yeah, really good takeaway, because Marin has been a step above the rest when it comes to his Gnar pick. His Gnar play, even in LGD's losing games, has been far too threatening. His Gnar bar, how he handles his Gnar bar is incredibly well done.
And just to show how teams are really afraid of it, Newbee have not played Gnar this split. V's picking up for the first time, and it's not the first time we have seen a team do this against Marin. There's been a couple of teams now who have not played Gnar at all during the split and only take it just to take away from LGD. But still, they're going to be locking in 2 more picks as they take Thresh for PYL, who's had some phenomenal games with the champion recently, and Intruder will be picking up Rek'Sai.
Yeah, exactly. Give him Thresh, and he will do a lot with it, especially just starts from the laning phase, really. You give PYL Thresh, that means that laning phase is secured for Sivir. I don't even know if there is a matchup that can really hard or at least deal with that Sivir pick early, especially since you have Thresh to really save you out.
Still waiting to see what Newbee's next 2 lock-ins are going to be. Jhin does get picked up by Happy, is very fond of that champion, has had some great performances on it for Newbee when they do pick up their victories. And it seems like they're hovering over Nidalee. A couple of teams have been wanting to pick this one up. They've hovered over it, but they normally swap away at the last second. She has had a couple of changes. She can no longer do her auto-attack resets as she goes through her clear in the jungle, but has a little bit more damage on her kit.
Yeah, so theoretically, a lot of people thought that the change would impact her speed in the jungle. Okay. Actually, it just changes up how she's able to clear out her camps. She ends up coming out a little bit faster, to be fair. So now it's just an outright buff, honestly. A lot of damage coming out of her. Doesn't really matter if she cancels out her autos or not. So it's a big pick, and Swift is willing to pick it up.
And Swift is one of those junglers that played a heck of a lot of Nidalee when she was very popular in the meta.
Played it even though it was when it wasn't popular. I remember when he was in IEM, and a lot of people ended up questioning it, but that's Swift. Swift, he wants the Nidalee pick, and he can really make a lot get a lot going for his team.
And we'll have to see how he's going to be able to use this one in their first match against LGD. LGD, though, lock in their solo laners as their last 2 picks. It's going to be Lissandra picked up in the top lane for Marin, and Wayless will be getting his Syndra this match.
Yeah, he came up with the Syndra first, and now he's really setting it in this game. It's going to be really interesting to see how it goes. Big pick to really point out is the Lissandra in the top lane. Going to be interesting to see how it's played for Marin. I'm definitely sure that he has not played it this split. So let's see how it works out for him. Fairly squishy, of course. Going to be dependent on the matchup. He's going up against the Gnar, so possibly going to be comfortable in that one.
Still waiting to see what Newbee pick up as their final pick here. They've saved the mid lane pick for last, something we see very commonly on the red side. They know they're going to be up against that Syndra.
So with the Newbee's composition already, they've showed a lot as is. Their go-to, and that's perfect, but yeah, their go-to with Nidalee and Jhin they've shown a lot of great games with this. And so it just comes back to non-committal play. They don't have to commit to much. They just have to get one poke, and then it just, from that point on, Jin can get the stun, and then he can just barrel it forward with his ulti.
Well, Newbee do decide to pick up their final pick, which is going to be Twisted Fate. Dade will be picking up that champion heading into the mid lane.
So we've seen a lot of Twisted Fates, a lot of different builds from Twisted Fate. I want to see what he picks for this one because he's going into an outright counter matchup. He countered himself, but Twisted Fate in most matchups is fairly safe if he ends up going for a Rod of Ages first, and then just look to impact the rest of the map as much as possible.
He is up against Wayless, though, the man that brought Syndra back into competitive play for the LPL in particular, and he has looked so strong since he's come back from his wrist injury, and it's looking to be a big powerhouse for LGD in the mid lane once again. Marin's picking up Lissandra this time around to go up against Nah, a matchup he should know very, very much about because he plays these two champions quite frequently. And let's see how this one pans out as we head into Summoner's Rift for game number 1 between LGD and Newbee. And we are on to Summoner's Rift for game number 1 between Newbee and LGD. It is a best of 5 match, and it is a promotion match as well. So the winner of this game will be heading into the LPL for the 2017 Spring Split. The loser, however, still has one more chance, which will be a match against Starhorn Royal Club to decide who gets the final spot heading into the LPL. So move on to the Rift. You can already see Newbee, they've taken away the Nah from Marin, a pick that a lot of teams have been taking away from LGD when they head into these matches. LGD, though, they respond with a double AP comp.
Yeah, so Newbee, they've played this nice snowball composition with Nidalee, look to outpace whenever possible, but LGD goes for this double AP composition that has a lot of zoning tools. So much zoning, they're going to be definitely looking for as many team fights as possible, get Imp as much CS and resource as possible, because once these zoning tools really do set the pace for these fights, Imp should be in prime position to just take it away.
We should be. We saw the priority pick of the Sivir coming out from Imp. LGD decided that was first pick worthy heading into this match. And it is Imp's most played champion this split as well. Has been a very popular pick globally, especially in the LPL, even when Sivir's not favored in the meta. It seems like because we are 6 on 6.15, we are not going to see lane swap initiated by either of these teams. We have not seen one today. I don't believe we saw one yesterday either.
I mean,
let's see how LGD go up against Newbee in these standard lanes.
There have been quite a few games so far that 6.15 has been played in globally. Not a lot, not a single lane swap. I do think it's somewhat possible, but you'd really be going into an area of discomfort for a lot of teams. So it's the most recent patch, of course. Not a lot of games have been played on it, and definitely not a lot of time for these teams to practice and try out how to play with it.
So we can see Swift on Nidalee, who has had a couple of changes, getting fairly low on the champion, but is clearing out the jungle pretty quickly. Intruder moves on towards his red buff. He went for the Gromp into the Wolf camp, so opting not to take his blue buff early in this match. Even PYL will be up against Happy and more as Sivir, you know, being a good friend, bounces the bouncing grenade on towards the Thresh.
But it is a good look for Rek'Sai to not take his blue. He does want to be able to get out in the map early. Secure Scuttle whenever possible because he needs to keep track of this Nidalee so he doesn't get jumped on at any point. Not going to be able to do that since he has taken quite a bit of damage from this Rapture camp though.
Swift is able to clear out his blue buff, so far doing really well in the jungle as Nidalee. Going to get a full clear going on here. Rek'Sai is a fairly healthy champion. And look at that. Swift already full health. Heals up quite nicely. Now his blue buff. Going to be able to jungle quite effectively. We're doing a pretty good job so far, but it's still fairly quiet between Newbee and LGD.
Yeah, and so far Swift have just looked for the camps, and he's able to get the tag.
Gonna jump straight on top of Intruder, gets a lot of damage down. He's trying to tunnel away. Swift still chasing forward. The spear will not connect, but forces a flash out of Intruder. Swift already being very aggressive in the jungle for Newbee.
Yeah, Intruder wasn't able to get the cancel out on the leap that Swift went for.
He's getting collapsed on. Marin's looking to try and stop this blue buff from being taken down. He's getting pincered by Wayless and Marin. V is definitely not joining the fight here. Swift does land a spear on towards Marin. Forces Lissandra to back off. He just loops around the Gromp camp and is able to swiftly jump back into the river and get back to safety.
See, that was incredibly risky. If he goes for that, you would have to expect his lanes to follow up. Perhaps they were not. Okay, that's awesome. That's great. Welcome to Syndra. But yeah, you definitely really would want your teams to come and help you and get that. You do have the early advantage from being able to out-skirmish Intruder in that venture, but of course, they probably weren't comfortable because Twisted Fate had to farm up under tower.
And Swift still continuing to farm up in his jungle. He forced Intruder to go back to base, was only able to pick up boots for himself as well as a pink ward, but look at the top side of the map. V going aggressive on top of Marin. Swift's going to try and wrap around as well. There's the claw. The spear will connect. He's going to be able to jump straight on top of him. Swift gets first blood on Summoner's Rift.
And that's why it's banned away from him so often, is that he's able to output so much pressure early. Not only was this kill given to Newbee, not only was it given to Swift just based off of his skill on Nidalee, but more so he was able to just pressure Intruder so early out of his own jungle.
The most received ban that Newbee get in this split of the LPL was Nidalee. 64% of their games, it's taken away by Swift in terms of a straight-up ban. The next champion close to that was Ryze, and that's still at 33%, and that's back when Ryze was just crazily overpowered. So it really shows how good Swift is on this champion and how much teams respect it. And he's already been able to have such a big impact on the game, forcing Intruder back to base, forcing him to burn Flash. Now he's got a first blood up onto the top lane against Marin. He's looking for more in the bottom lane as he's going aggressive towards Imba PYL. PYL already had to flash away. Death Sentence will land on top of Moore. Concussive Blow is going to land on top of PYL, but he does get to the safety of his turret. And once again, impacting the map, top, mid, and bottom.
Yeah, that could have very easily turned into another kill for Newbee. Definitely a risky play. LGD I guess they end up losing Flash on Thresh for that. Might not be very impactful overall, but hey, that's another lane that LGD have to work with, because now it's going to look to be a losing matchup for them.
Certainly is so far. Newbee looking very strong to start things off, contrary to what we thought would happen this game. LGD, they've been looking like the stronger team recently. They're 1,000 gold behind Newbee at the moment.
And it's all really just off to this guy, Mr. Swift.
Yep, he's gone back to base, upgraded his jungling item, so he now has a couple of extra wards to provide on Summoner's Rift to get his boots as well, so move around quite nicely and quite quickly. Dane in this mid lane going up against Wayless. We haven't seen too much action between these two mid laners. Dane has yet to go back to base. Refuses to use his gold anytime soon, Raz.
Yeah, it's an interesting tactic. I do believe, as the game goes on, it's going to be a lot more difficult for Twisted Fate and Nidalee. You do have a lot of burst, a lot of CC coming out of LGD in Wayless and Marin. So if you get to a certain point where Newbee have not output or at least used the early pressure that they have now, that they might just get demolished.
Wayless looking to be a little bit aggressive and try and steal blue buff away from Swift. Gets the Sundown as well as the ultimate. Wayless sneaks up behind the cat and picks up a solo kill for himself.
Really calm, really well-tempered. Wayless just showing why he's an amazing player as a mid laner. He recognizes that he's doing so well in his matchup because, of course, you're going up against the Twisted Fate. That's not really that much competition. But he recognizes, I'm going to pull out my pressure and walk towards this buff because I know that it's spawning up. He walks at perfect timing and is able to just take away so much tempo, pressure out of Nidalee.
He's been doing a really good job of doing just that. Really confident on this Syndra. Has been able to keep Dane constantly pushed in underneath his turret so he can't use that Destiny to move around the map effectively. Even forces him to pick up Mercury Threads as his first item. Does not want to be locked down by the Syndra and instantly burst it out either. Bottom side of the map, something we haven't seen too much of, was impacted by Swift early. He's looking to try and make a return trip down. He isn't spotted out by any wards, but spider senses are tingling for Imp and PYL. There's a suspicion that Swift is waiting inside of this brush. Puts a pink ward down. Spear will not connect. It's just going to clear that one out.
Yeah, really? He gets tagged with the Braum Q, but able to zip in and out of those skill shots.
These AD carries refusing to go back to base as well. Both sitting on their Doran's Blade, just farming out the bottom lane wherever they possibly can. Swift going to be taking down blue buff for himself, I believe, unless he just holds this one for a long time for Twisted Fate, which he will eventually do. So that he will walk up, throw out a Q, pick it up for himself. And Swift will just head back into his jungle, continue farming.
So yeah, right now we're in a farming war. Bottom lane, it actually works in favor of Imp because although he's a 1 CS behind, he has full HP, and he's going to be able to sit there for however long he wants.
Mara was actually waiting in the bottom lane to see if he can get a gank off towards the Twisted Fate. Nah, forcing a teleport in the bottom lane. LGD getting jumped on by 5 members of Newbee. PYL, first men to go down. Intruders here trying to tank off some damage. He's going to fall as well as Newbee just chase on forward. There goes Mara into the back lines. He locks down Happy, but the 80 carry is still left alive. Marin's dead as well as V. He's going to go Mega in a second. Jumps straight on top of Wailers. Gets the Gnar back onto the Syndra. Gold card comes out. He tries to use the ultimate to take down Dade. And the only person left standing for LGD is going to be Imp. 4 kills for Newbee off of a big teleport play.
4 for 0. Disastrous for LGD. That was a really good look from Newbee, and it came down to execution. They were able to take down Thresh and then pull it down forward. There was no risk involved when it came down to it. But honestly, Marin thought he had it. He went in for the 3-man frozen team. Couldn't get anything out of it.
And immediately Newbee not only get 4 kills for that, they move straight towards the Dragon Pit, pick up the Cloud Dragon for themselves. Very early into this game, only 10 minutes in, they're 5-1 in kills, 2,500 gold up with a Dragon advantage. Just take us through this one again, Raz.
Yeah, just look at it. They were able to lock down PYL. Intruder thinks he can go in, but he's alone, so they can burst him down. The Braum ulti was perfect being able to do so, but look at this. He wasn't able to get it down. They locked him down. Braum Q. Remember, even though Braum did get nerfed, his skirmish is still incredibly strong. His passive's able to provide proper lockdown, pick for his team. Just takes it on through.
It's even down to a beautiful exhaust coming out from Dada to keep himself alive during the Syndra ultimate. See the damage dealt during that team fight, you know, even across the board, so no one really standing out, but everyone from the side of Newbee just fought with a one-track mind, it seemed.
Exactly. And so now question is, how are they going to use this lead? Because they were able to, the execution was perfect from Newbee, right? So now you're at a point where you still probably can't team fight 5v5, right? They were able to get that just from the numbers advantage, how quickly they were able to get to the play first. So now they just need to find a way to continue to pressure that through. Get the vision advantage quick and early.
Still looks really good for Newbee. I really want to know where this Newbee was before, because this looks like how they used to play when they were on form previously. You know, collapsing as a team, making sure they pick a map, part of the map they want to try and capitalize on, and do exactly that. You see mid lane Dade, he's got a lot of respect for Wayless. Not only the Mercury Threads were picked up, he also went straight for a Negatron Cloak. The only offensive item he has at the moment is that Sheen.
Yeah, a lot of defensive, a lot of defense for Dade. Dade only has one objective for himself, and that's just to impact the map. Survive in his lane, because he cannot win this 1v1 against the Syndra. He needs to survive, wait for his next cooldown. Hell, even if it's not up, it is up currently, but if it's not up in the future, he can look to roam with Swift towards and impact this bottom lane.
They've done well so far of doing just that. He's able to get his Destiny down towards the bottom lane. Got a kill for himself as well as 2 assists, 3 assists even, on his Twisted Fate. Yomu's Ghostblade has been picked up by Happy as well. On the flip side, Imp, he's going for an Essence Reaver as his first item. We've seen a lot of Sibbers lately go towards an Infinity Edge first instead, you know, bringing it back to what we normally see Sibbers pick up first.
Yeah, it just comes down to the outright damage potential you can get. IE does cost quite a bit. And on top of that, there is utility coming out of Essence Reaver and being able to constantly shove out lanes. But if you do go for the IE, yeah, you do get the damage out of it. And you can skirmish a little hard early on.
And teleports are almost back up and available for Newbee and LGD. So there's the potential for Newbee to look for another 5-man gank down into the bottom lane, especially with the deep wards they currently have. Kurtical actually being used by Happy, trying to get some damage onto PYL and him. Brom ultimate comes down as well. The 4-shot's not going to connect, but here comes Dade. The hook will miss. Dade gets the Thunderlord's proc to get a kill very early down in the bottom lane.
Yeah, and he was able to move out of his lane regardless of how much he was getting shoved in by Wayless. He does have a pink near the bush, the banana bush, in his side of the jungle, so whenever that play is being made bottom lane, whenever there's a proper matchup or a proper trade happening, he's always going to be there. He's just looking for that play.
And already, Newbee looking so strong here, right? Something that we talked about how they've been on a slump and LGD have been on the rise. It seems like coming into this promotion regulation tournament, they're looking better, but Swift, he's getting jumped on by Myron and Intruder. He's trying to pounce away. A few auto attacks will come out from Myron. He heals himself up, dodges the Q coming out from Lissandra as well, and lives to fight another day.
There's just so little damage coming out of this team. Right now, the only one with an actual damage item is the Morellos coming out of Wayless. So Myron, picking for his matchup, does have double Dorans, does have that nice book for himself, but has Merc Treads for himself, so he doesn't really output much burst currently.
Does mean that LGD will be able to move in towards Swift's side of the jungle, take blue buff away, give it over towards Wayless, who's going to continue shoving out this mid lane. Swift does the exact same thing, heads towards the blue buff of the LGD side of the map, but does not take it down for himself. There goes the Youmu's coming out from Happy, looking to try and chase down Imp. They do spot out Intruder close towards the bottom lane, so they decide not to go all in on towards the Manaless Imp.
So we have to watch out because it comes down to the point. Newbee, they're in a self-finding mission. They're trying to find who they really are because primarily they used to be a team that they play out these. Ooh.
They're going aggressive on towards Dade. Wayless does get exhausted. He flashes forward. That Dark Spear will not connect, but forces a flash coming out from Dade. So Wayless going very aggressive on towards the Twisted Fate.
Yeah, but they used to be a team that it came down to the late game team fights, right? Remember the days of they'll not pick for their lane, but they'll be able to come out into those late game team fights, come back, so they always came out in deficits, major team fight, then they would win the game. That was just their mode of, the book of team fighting that came down from them. So now they're at a different kind of mindset. They do have an early game team composition, and they need to look to snowball this lead because if they stall this out at any point, and if LGD can get the unnecessary items, they will lose every skirmish going forward.
Now we can see Dade. He's already gone back to base, picked up a Lich Bane for himself, his first major offensive item. You saw him go for the Merc Threads double ring, or triple ring if you include the Dark Seal and the Negatron Cloak, just to try and keep himself, give himself a little bit more survivability against Dade, against Wayless in the mid lane. Even using the exhaust every single time, as here comes a curtain call from Happy, looking to connect on towards PYL. The crit shot will get a lot of damage down. The spear does not land. The tag from Deadly Flourish lands on towards Imp instead. PYL somehow gets out of there alive, but Newbee just relentless in terms of pressure at the moment.
Yeah, and Dade was just sitting in wait, lying, trying to figure out whether he should commit to the play, look for those kills, or just stick to his lane. He ends up sticking to his lane. They do get a lot more out of it. Great patience coming out of Newbee. They don't overcommit to the fight, and they end up getting the dragon on top of that nice wave in the middle lane.
Swift's looking to take down the second dragon for his team, as he does get the Ocean Dragon, and Mountain will be the last elemental dragon to spawn in this match. Newbee have good control over the objectives so far, and are looking to continue doing just that, especially now that they're 3,500 gold up ahead of LGD just 17 minutes into this game.
So far, this has been really clean play coming out of Newbee. Really did not expect this. They have been, their early games have been a lot cleaner as of late, but the problem now is how they are able to, much like Saint, to be honest, even though it's not as dire as Saint, how they're able to push these leads forwards and make it translate into great team fight leads because, hey, LGD, yeah, sure, LGD have found themselves in deficits before. They just look to outplay the oncoming team fights. So we'll see if they're looking for that in the next few minutes.
It's just approaching a portion of this game where, you know, Newbee and LGD not looking to fight for anything yet because Baron's up in 2 minutes as we approach 20 minutes into the match. Dragon's down, won't be up for the next 5 minutes even. So both teams very comfortable just sitting back and farming, not being overly aggressive anytime soon. Mid lane Wayless just going to be doing what he can to shove in against Dade. find a fight wherever he can possibly take it. But Dade, time and time again, has shown he can survive the all-in burst that comes out from the Syndra. Swift finds Intruder, actually gets smited to try and reduce his movement speed. V being very aggressive on towards Marin, but Imp, he's going to be moving up towards the top side of the map. V actually gets locked down, forced to flash away. The claw will come in from Marin, roots up V, who turns into Mini Nah, and Imp will be able to pick up a kill in the top lane for LGD.
Yeah, something you have to watch out in this new patch is the late swaps coming out for teams, especially if they don't want to continue to take the matchup, right? So Newbee, they end up getting the tower anyways. They're shoving in through. But Sivir, all she wanted to do was just escape this 2v2.
So LGD do get the pick up on the top side of the map and will eventually take down the top lane outer turret, but Newbee do get the first structure gold advantage by taking down the outer turret in the bottom lane. Swift and Dade doing what they can to counter jungle. Up against LGD side of the junglers. Here comes a Destiny looking to try and move into the bottom lane. Wayless is going to be the target. The hook lands on towards Dade. This time, more obliterates Wayless before he can do anything at all. Marin's now the next target. Has to use his Zhonya's Hourglass to stay alive underneath his own turret. Does get locked down by the gold card from Dade, who goes onto a killing spree. Now Intruder's the next target. Marin will be able to take down V though. There's the curtain call. Lands so many great shots down. PYL will dodge the last two, but it's a 2-for-3 trade in favor of Newbee, and they're looking to take down the bottom lane outer turret as well.
Yeah, they are so aggressive, and that's what you have to be. Newbee, they recognize their composition. They know that they have a time limit going on to this game, and they are not letting this game fall through under their fingertips. 20 minutes into the game, they're pressing the go button.
They certainly are. Look at the damage dealt during that team fight. So many members of LGD were just constantly locked down by Newbee, who had one direction in mind, Raz, and that was just to keep moving forward.
Yeah, they knew exactly how many numbers they had for that dive. They were confident in it, and they went for it. That's exactly what they needed to do. And now that they have that inner bot lane tower, you have to watch out if you're Wayless, because that's another wave shoved in, and they can take over that red side jungle just as easy, and then move towards that mid lane tower.
LGD though, they're not out of this game just yet. They're still 4,000 gold behind. They can fight back from deficits. Normally it's Newbee that we say fights back from deficits more commonly, but we have seen LGD fight back from deficits much larger than this. As they now look to try and catch out Happy in the top side of the map. Intruder will tunnel on forward, gets the smite as well as a knock up on towards Jin, immediately locked down by Marin, and they get a pick on the top side of the map. Yeah,
I mean, Newbee, lately they have been getting early leads and they have been losing them. And this is one of the reasons why they do that. They get these great positional advantages, and then they just lose control of these puzzle pieces. And one of these puzzle pieces was Happy moving out far too forward, looking to contest the wave when Thresh was nowhere near him. You need to really buckle down and know where you are.
And for that, he gets picked off.
And I mean Braum for that one, I mean.
And for that, he does get picked off on the top side of the map. Take a look at the mid lane. Wayless has been picking up a couple of items here and there, looking for a Luden's Echo next. The flip side, though, Dade's upgraded that Negatron Cloak into an Abyssal Scepter, and it's duo Dade time as he picks up a Magi Soul Stealer as well.
Ooh, well, that's one way to snowball. I mean, I was talking about snowballing, and Dade, he's like, you know what, I heard you. But yeah, that's definitely the way to go, I think, because you have the 3 kills for you, you have 5 assists, you are massive. At this point forward, you should be able to take out every fight going forward, and so that's the way you win.
And he did start with a very early Dark Seal as well, so that's been stacking nicely for him. Does mean, though, if he dies a couple of times in this match, not going to be good.
I mean, that's just gold down the sink, really. That's what it is. So I like playing. I like gambling. That's a bit much, though. So we'll see. I'm a fan of it. I'm not gonna lie. So I do think if Newbee loses any more fights, that's not because of the itemizing. That just comes down to them making poor decisions. So they should be able to win throughout.
They've historically been good at team fights, so hopefully they'll be able to pull it off against LGD. Still 4,000 gold in the lead, looking to control more parts of this map. Dragon going to be coming back up in 10 seconds. Newbee would definitely be looking to try and contest for that, as they already picked up 2 earlier in this match. They have an Ocean and a Cloud Drag. The third dragon, the small, will be a Mountain Dragon. LGD have been positioning and jockeying for vision around this Dragon Pit, but it's Newbee that started off as soon as the Mountain Dragon spawns. We're going to try and pull it out of the pit as Dragon uses his flash there, tries to get a little bit closer towards Newbee's team to get some damage down. The rest of LGD trying to wrap around the pit.
They're just trying to pull them forward. They want this fight. Newbee are not interested in this.
V's
dragon.
almost mega though, and PYL does play the Draktar, does a lot of damage to the support. Swift does
Oh.
get locked down. A good critical slice off the support. V is mega on top of Marin. Happy will get locked down though by Wayless in the back lines. Dade kills Marin, and now LGD are on the wrong side of the map. Mega Nah into the wall means that LGD are just going to get cleaned up by Newbee with only Imp left alive. Swift goes on a killing spree, and they move straight back towards the Mountain Dragon.
They were just simply not interested in the Dragon. They knew what they wanted, and they wanted that team fight. We saw the Magi Soul Stealer, but mostly we saw the Lich Bane coming out of Twisted Fate. He is doing so much damage right now. Really just zoning out Imp.
And we saw how much damage Wayless did in that fight on towards Happy. They obliterated the AD carry. But look at how much damage Jin got off before he went down.
I mean, he was in prime position. No one could touch him, right? He was next to, he was far behind his team. His ulti really just demolished PYL's Thresh. And so he was in a great position to really set up his team. He started out as setup. He wanted to set up that team fight, right? It turns out he just did the most of the damage there. So guess you got both for your worries.
He certainly did. Dade didn't even get taken down, so his Magi's are stacking nicely as we progress through this game. Newbee looking stronger and stronger. Still only 4,000 gold up, but they do get the Mountain Dragon for their trouble, so it's objective after objective being controlled efficiently by Newbee.
Yeah, and we're seeing double Abyssal Scepters. They don't stack, but you know, with how separated they're going to be in these team fights, perhaps Dade is going to be in the back line looking to zone out the team. You know, put them in an interesting position. It will work out for them.
On top of that, magic resistance absolutely crucial, especially when you have two ability power champions in the solo lanes for LGD. You can even see Jin moving towards his next item, has a null magic mantle, so we'll be looking to try and mitigate some of the damage that Wayless and Marin can deal during these team fights, possibly even a QSS.
Yeah, Wayless decided to just go for that early Void Staff for himself in that. Ooh.
Happy, not playing any games here. Flashes away from Marin, a little bit scared of that Lissandra.
I mean, what I say, Happy? If Moore is not in position, do not walk up, especially since you are Jin. At this point, I don't even think he should be in the side lane, right? Jin's one major weakness is the fact that he simply cannot move. Put him in the mid lane. You have a massive Twisted Fate. Put him in the side lane. Get a 1-3-1 going for your team, and you will be able to control any fight you get.
Well, let's see if Happy is going to be taken advantage of in these next few team fights, because he has no flash available. LGD could look to try and pick on him and take him down as soon as the fight starts. Marin was sent in towards the bottom lane because V was continuing his split push. He's gone back to base, already has his Black Cleaver as well as the Random's Omen being picked up and sitting on his Spectre's Cull just to reduce some of the magic damage dealt by LGD. And Wayless, he's going to be running fast. He's got sparks on the ground, Raz. He doesn't even touch the ground.
Not sure where that's coming from.
Newbee still looking to try and find picks wherever they can. Intruder does get locked down. Blue buff seems to be their target of choice. They want to deny this one away from Wayless. Stun does not connect on towards Swift, but does pick up the blue buff. Will get taken away by Wayless. So successfully defends the objective for LGD.
How do you fight someone who can just take the buff away entirely?
He took it away and slammed it back straight down on top of them, Raz. So add insult to injury.
Great on Newbee here. They're finally bringing down Twisted Fate, unless if he's just going to take this blue buff. I really feel like they're stalling out the game if they do not end up putting Dade to the bottom lane.
Seems like he's just going to be taking away blue buff here, Raz. For now. As the top lane outer turret will fall, Newbee pick up a slightly bigger gold advantage for themselves. They're 3 turrets to 2, 13-7 in kills. And they've controlled all 3 elemental dragons in this game. But once again, they're taking this game nice and steady. They only fight when they're pushing for an objective. And after every single fight, they've taken a small objective.
Yeah, they're just going for a bit of a chip damage. They're just chipping at LGD at every point, trying to take as many camps, deny as much as possible. They're doing a fairly decent job at it. They didn't get the blue, of course, but the fact that they were looking for it is good enough.
They've hooked up more here with the death sentence from PYL, but he's going to get tagged up by Winter's Spy. There's a Rylai's Crystal Septon towards Swift, but that's a 3-man stun coming out from Syndra. Intruder straight back on top of Moore. He has to flash away, living with a sliver of health. But Newbee, they turn on the go button with a big Nah coming out from V. Happy's taking down Intruder. It's going to be Wayless that falls next. PYL is getting hunted down. Happy does get jumped on by Marin, but here comes Dade. Stasis is only going to keep Marin alive for so long as V chucks a rock into his face and picks up the the double kill. That's 3 members of LGD going down.
Initially, that looked great for the Syndra, but the problem was Braum was really blocking it through with his shield. He said, stand behind me, and he was able to get so much block, so much damage coming out of Wayless. And so, of course, once he laid down his ulti, that was the go button. That was a point where LGD committed too far forward, didn't get the job done, and there was no exit strategy.
Wayless even used his ultimate on towards Braum, who still had his shield up. Newbee take advantage of that. They take down every single turret in the mid lane. They now have 6 turrets, only to the 2 that LGD picked up previously, and they are approaching a 10,000 gold lead. It's 48,000 gold for LGD, 55,000 for Newbee, looking incredibly strong just 29 minutes into this game.
One of the criticisms I had for Newbee was that they weren't really much of a team. That sure, they would get these leads, but once they played it out, there would be one execution issue after the next, and it felt like they weren't succinct. They weren't much of a unit. And that's just out the window. They are playing so well together.
And Newbee, they're just looking to try and take objective after objective. Once again, they only really fight when they can take something. This time around, it was mid lane. It was Mauve that almost got picked off by the Death Centers, capitalized on all the abilities being used in the support, turned the fight in their favor, take all the mid lane turrets. Dragons coming up in 15 seconds. Newbee would definitely want to be trying to take control over that pit. In fact, they have V split pushing on the bottom side of the map. This time, Dade is on the top side of Summoner's Rift, trying to clear out that wave and create an advantage and another pressure point for Newbee.
Remember, he still hasn't died. Real question is what his Majai's is stacked at. I can't see it right now, but it must be at an absurd point. His damage right now is off the charts.
Unfortunately, neither can I, that I would tell you, but 4-0-8 with Majai's stacking for quite some time. He is incredibly strong. He's very tanky as well, Raz, because he's got the Abyssal Scepter, he's got a Proto Belt, and he has a QSS on top of his Merc Boots. It's going to be quite difficult to kill this Twisted Fate.
Yeah, I mean, it really just came down to the fact that either Lissandra or Wayless and Syndra has to lock them down, but look at this.
He's on top of Wayless. That's already most of Wayless' health gone. Uses the Proto Belt. Gets a solo kill on the top lane for Newbee. Dade is unstoppable. And this entire time, Newbee were able to take down the dragon for themselves.
Yeah, I mean, how many times have you seen a Twisted Fate look to assassinate the Syndra in lane? That's just what it came down to. First of all, it's kind of awkward that Wayless was top in the top lane to begin with. That's not where you want to be. But Twisted Fate, so massive at this point, can do really whatever he wants.
Newbee looking to try and start up this Baron buff. Moore has swept out the area. They do get spotted. Here comes the Destiny from Swift. They're on top of Mara, and he's going to have to use the ultimate to keep himself alive. V is going mega, stuns him up. PYL's being chased down by the Twisted Fate. Dade just walks right next to him. The box will keep him alive for a little bit longer, but Protobelt gets him closer. The blue card swag comes out for Dade as well, and immediately Newbee goes straight back on towards this Baron.
Yeah, this is such good play out of Newbee. Whenever LGD walk in to try and commit, they will try and kill him.
And they're going straight on top of Intruder. He gets knocked and locked out of the Baron pit to be taken down by V. And as soon as he's dead, Newbee goes straight back in, smite away the Baron. It's 4 kills and a Baron buff for Newbee.
And they left the Baron to such small HP, but it's not done yet.
They're looking for Wayless. Happy pops the Curta Call, trying to chase him down. V will not get the slow with his Boomerang, but Swift's looking for a spear. Will not connect. Boomerang does finally connect. Wayless going to be slowed down. Gets jumped on by V. No ultimate available yet, but does use it then on top of V, who has to retreat. They really wanted another pick onto LGD's mid laner, but they do get the flash for their troubles.
Nice blue suede shoes comes out of Wayless. Had he got hit by any of those skill shots, would have been lights out. Able to come out alive, but regardless of that, you're in a bad position, LGD.
Tell you what, Imp must be really confused right now because they haven't got an ace yet, because this guy is yet to die. And that's very strange coming from Imp, a man that we normally see across the map somewhere else, getting killed by the opposition team for farming a little bit overextended. He's been playing really well. He's more than 50 CS up ahead of Happy. He's got his 3 item power cycles and a QSS to go along with it to avoid some of the crowd control from Newbee. The rest of his team is just collapsing around him.
That's true. But remember, there is something called the Sivir. I even forgot what it was. But anyways, it's the Sivir win condition. There we go. That's what it is. And that's all you need is once Sivir gets to 6 items, 5 items perhaps, just win the team fight. Sivir right now is such a massive threat that if you do not shut her down early in a team fight, especially when she has this much of a she has this much of a lead, a lot of CS on her name, then you can just outright lose just with one mistake.
Let's see if LGD can get there, because they're fighting up against a Newbee who have 67,000 gold to the 55,000 of LGD. 12,500 gold behind. Even if this Sivir win condition is true, Raz, they've got a long way to go to get towards it.
A very long way.
Newbee just breaks straight in towards LGD's base, take down the mid lane inhibitor turret. They do get a hook on towards V, but he's almost mega, and immediately PYL decides he's not going in for any of that.
Yeah, I don't think you want any of that. Right now, Newbee, although I said that they are not a team fight composition, they are so massively ahead that they can win any team fight given to them.
And looking very strong to start off this game. It is a best-of-5 series. The winner heads back into the LPL for 2017 Spring Split. Loser of this best-of-5 series would have to go up against Starhound Royal Club to fight for the final spot in the LPL. And Newbee, they're putting on the go button once again. Newbee, Mùa puts up the shield, trying to block some damage down. They do have Baron buffs, so they're slowly walking minions on towards this turret, waiting to pull the trigger against LGD. Mid lane's inhibitor was taken down, so top lane and mid lane will slowly push in Newbee's favor. Another wave of Baroned up minions are now crashing. There's the Destiny coming out from Dade, spots out members of LGD. Kurtzakor comes out as well, has the vision to try and land good shots down towards LGD. Inhibitor turret does fall. And immediately, they move straight back towards the inhibitor, get some good damage down. Claw comes out from Marin, does not decide to follow up. And that's the second inhibitor of the game falling for Newbee, and they've broken open LGD's base.
Yeah, and it just came back to the fact that they have such a good non-committal comp that they can just, they can toggle their ultis. Dade can say, hey, you know what, I can come into the fight whenever I want to. Or Jhin can toggle curtain calls and just zone them away from the tower. And they just get a free tower, free inhib from that. Right now, question is, how is LGD going to take any fights when Newbee aren't taking fights right now? They are actually just shoving them off with just brute force.
And even dragons can be spawning in the next 55 seconds. Newbee have had control over the dragon pit this entire game. It is going to be an elder dragon that spawns this time round, which will give them a huge buff. They're able to pick that one up for themselves. Big items being picked up by both teams. Lichbane even coming out for Swift. We have the Guardian Angel come out for V as well, so he's going to be a team-fighting monster. Dade, he's at full build. He's got his Rabadon's Death Card to go with that Magi Soul Stealer, so a lot of ability power for the Twisted Fate, who is incredibly tanky and has lots of magic resistance as well.
Yeah, even though we can't know for certain, I'm fairly certain he has 20 stacks. Like, at this point, there's no way he doesn't. So he's doing a lot of damage to his structures alone. Really, I don't even have to say it. He's doing an incredible amount of damage to champions. So he is their win condition. If he survives, he has so much AP to his name that he can just burst down anyone. One shot imp, perhaps.
LGD not giving up without a fight, as they were looking to try and get a flank on towards Newbee. V is still in the bottom lane. He's about to turn Mega. LG could try and use that to their advantage, but it is a big wave that will slowly push in towards their base. V is now Mega, so the time for LGD is now if they want to engage.
Oh, there is no time. That's the problem. The fact that he's shepherding these minions into the space means that he doesn't even need to commit to this fight. This is the key word, is the fact that there's no way Newbee wants to make a fight until they've actually gotten this last inhib down.
And that means they pull two members of LGD into the bottom lane. V is just smacking away at these Nexus turrets. The rest of LGD are looking to try and defend the top lane inhibitor. Kurtzakor comes out, looking to try and get some shots on towards Imp. Instead, he has to cancel it nice and early, but that's on the hunt being used already by the Sivir. V, this entire time, has been split pushing for Newbee on the bottom side of the map, looking to chip away at the Nexus turret, but more importantly, draw one member of LGD down towards the bottom side of the map to make sure he's being dealt with. Here comes a teleport flame. LGD, they're throwing out the Hail Mary with Lissandra. PYL flashes in for a hook. Doesn't connect. There goes Marin. He's into the back line. Decides not to take the claw. Now Intruder's in trouble. V's in this fight. Goes Mega. Happy gets the first kill. Mùa lives through it. There's Dade. He's on top of Marin. Gets the gold card down. Forces the stasis coming out from Lissandra, who has to flash away from V. Newbee are going in. V gets knocked backwards. Marin goes back in. Uses the ult on himself to stay alive. Has to take the dark passage to safety. This entire time though, Raz. LGD's base is getting wrecked by super minions.
Newbee should just keep chasing forward. There's no reason not to, but LGD is able to save their base, but it comes down to this one turret. If they can get it.
They've got an exhaust on towards Imp. The crit shot coming out from Jin does a lot of damage. Dustblade deals even more. And there's the curtain call
Another
trying to slow them down. Imp gets hit by the second, has to run out of the third. The final inhibitor will fall for Newbee. They have broken LGD's base wide open. They head back and look to try and regroup to take that final push.
Curtain calls has been so important for this team. Every time it's off cooldown, which I have to question, what's the cooldown timing on this champion? It feels like 40 seconds because of the CDR that he's been building, and so every time it's up, they can just zone LGD off of turret after wave. Such a great disengage tool.
LGD now looking to try and make a push of their own. They're moving towards the mid lane, trying to take down the mid lane turret for themselves. The rest of Newbee were grouped under a bush, setting up a death brush, trying to catch out any member of LGD, trying to move towards this Baron that has respawned. They do head back to base and pick up their final few items. You were talking a little bit about the 6-item silver win condition, Raz. It is almost there. He only has to upgrade his Quicksilver Sash to get it. But LGD's base has one single turret remaining, and that's all that separates them from a loss in game number 1 against Newbee.
Yeah, I mean, sure, he's got 6 items, but he's going up against a double Lich Bane in both Twisted Fate and Nidalee, and just a lot of damn damage coming out of Gnar and Jin, so I'm not too sure if that even means anything, especially since he's the only real strength of his team.
He's Flame Horizon happy here in this game. Happy, he's 5-2 and 10, doesn't even have the item that Imp has. He's really trying to keep this game alive for LGD, but Newbee, they've started on Baron. Wayless is nowhere close to try and contest this one, so it falls and V pick up a major objective. Immediately, LGD back off, move straight back towards their base, looking to try and defend that one. Elder Dragon's up and online. Newbee could easily push towards that objective. Wayless is left with turret defense at the moment. This turret is so low.
I mean, you said that LGD have to come back to defend their base. What base is left to defend? They don't have any inhib towers. They have, I guess they have some Nexus towers to work with. It's just, right now, Newbee can do whatever they want.
They've got one left, Raz. There's no sum left in this base. LGD, they're living by a thread, and Newbee just take objective after objective. Elder Dragon's the next thing they're looking for. Imp throws out a boomerang straight in towards the shield that comes up from Braum. Elder does reset, but Newbee should be able to take this one down. It seems like all LG are looking for is just a steal, trying to keep their dreams alive here. There goes Intruder, jumps in, doesn't get the steal, takes the Dark Passage out. V is almost going Mega. He's trying to get on top of the members. Curticall trying to slow people down. Dade is running at them like a madman with Destiny up and available. Mega is now up for V, but LGD lose the Baron. They've lost the Elder Dragon, and now Newbee just look to try and move in towards LGD's base.
And because Dade went for that Rabadon's pick instead of the Zhonya's, he could not ult on top of them. That would definitely be a death sentence. So the fact that he was calm, tempered, he knows he has a lot of damage. They can do whatever they want here. They're just going to push right in. They have the Elder Dragon. Any fight they take off of the Jin ulti is theirs.
Well, let's see what they do here, because for now they're looking to try and push down the bottom lane inhibitor. Mid lane inhibitor will be the next target for Newbee. They already have super minions crashing in towards LGD's base from the top side of the map. All 3 inhibitors are down again. Newbee, though, are playing this one so cautiously. They want to walk as many minions as they can into LGD's base before they take a fight.
Yeah, they don't want to make the same mistake they made up against EDG. Flashback to that time where they had 3 inhibs down on EDG, and they could still not finish the game. And guess why? Because of this very same situation, 6-item Sivir, Deft was able to clean it up. Now we have Imp on this pick. Is it enough?
Well, they have 16,000 gold in the lead here, as a Curticall is going to be popped. Only lands a couple of shots on towards Intruder and PYL. The rest of the team kept relatively healthy. Imp takes a crit shot to the face. He has to go back to the fountain and heal up. The rest of Newbee now looking to try and collapse on towards the final Nexus turret. LGD fighting for their lives. Here comes that final fight for them, Raz. They're going to try and defend this turret with all they've got, but it's an Elder Dragon Newbee that are just pushing on towards the Nexus. The Nexus is now bare and no turrets left to defend it. V is almost heading into Mega Knight. He's looking for the good opportunity to jump into the fight, but they're just focusing down the Nexus, Raz. It's almost
come down to this.
There goes the fight. LGD pulled the trigger. They're looking for the backline, but everyone is just so safe. They move straight towards the Nexus as they clean up kills left, right, and center. It's a double that comes out for Gnar, and with the ace on towards LGD, Newbee take game 1 of this best-of-5 series.
What a surprise. Newbee coming this as a clear underdogs, but now they're going up against LGD. 1 game ahead, and a decisive one at that.
It certainly was, Raz. I mean, this is something we did not expect because LGD have been on the upward trend. They still have smiles on their face. They still know they've got an entire series on their hand.
Do they though? There's always been so much confidence in LGD. So much confidence at the beginning of the split that they can take it through, right? That they can come to the playoffs. It won't matter. Until this point, it does matter, LGD. You have to play hard, but I feel like they were playing to their strengths. The problem is that and Newbee are just coming up big.
And don't let the graphic that just shown on your screen there fool you. It was a victory for Newbee, not a defeat there. And they were able to play so well, and it all started from this first fight in the bottom lane, Raz, when Newbee got 5 members into the bottom lane so early on, and were able to just shut down LGD nice and early.
There's a lot of team cohesion coming out of Newbee. Every member was up for that fight. And honestly, it really started even before that. The Nidalee pick coming up big for Swift. Swift able to really output so much pressure, and at the very least, just know where Rek'Sai was at all times.
He was a huge factor in the early game. He got first blood on the top lane for his team, forced the flash out of Intruder, forced him back to base very early as well, made sure he pulled top lane and mid lane into the jungle to try and deal with him, and then went straight bottom lane and got a couple of kills for himself. He was a monster on this Nidalee, and this is where things just turned around as well. This is where they try to focus out more live to tell the tale, and Newbee just pulled the trigger and just obliterate LGD.
And for all you Gnar players out there, yes, he was able to ulti while in the air. Really well placed by him. Very rarely we get to see that out of people. And look at this. Look how far ahead he is. Able to just take it out. Like, it was an amazing play out of him.
It was do or die, Raz. He picked up a Magi Soul Stealer. He was out for blood, and he was farming champions throughout that entire game. Newbee pick up a Game 1 victory. We'll have to see if they can keep it up because this is a best-of-5 series.
Exactly. So, yeah, sure, you got that one game. But now what does it matter, right? I mean, it does matter. You have to wipe it out of your memory. You have to go into the next game refreshed because, sure, you took game 1 on LGD. Remember, they are LGD. You have to go hard the next one.
And let's see if Newbee can do just that. We're going to go into a very quick break, but we will be back with game 2 in just a moment.